Good evening, Vancouver. Welcome back to Canucks After Dark, December 11th, 2023. The Vancouver Canucks have won back-to-back games for the first time in quite a while. And here to discuss that with me and Ethan Bear and 4 upcoming games this week is my co-host, Canuck Clay. How are you doing today, Clay?
I am great, Parker. I hope you're well as well. We both went 2 for 1 in our predictions, so we're on the ball, and I think we're going to continue on the ball this week. That's my gut feeling. But yes, everything is good. Personally, everything's good. My health, I'm walking with no crutch, with no scooter. I'm a little slow, but getting back to health. And I kind of go like the Canucks team, kind of go up and down. But 2 straight wins. I've had 2 straight days of not falling over, so I feel good.
That's 2 doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm happy you haven't fallen over in 2 days.
Thank you, brother. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, the 2-1 predictions worked out.
Yep.
Really, looking back at it, not good predictions with the win 1 lose when the Canucks have been doing. We would have been smart to say 1 and 2, but forever the optimists that we are, apparently. The Canucks pull out wins over the Wild, their first loss under their new coach. And they take out the Carolina Hurricanes, who have the worst goaltending in hockey, which was nice. Two games this week where the Canucks played the 2 worst teams goaltending-wise in the Devils and the Hurricanes.
Well, I didn't know that. So the fact we lost to the Devils, that's even worse then.
Well, they did score 5.
Yeah.
That game's going to be tough for me to go back to. That one hurt.
For many reasons.
It's probably where we'll end up starting. Of course, but yeah, our protocol for the night, we'll go back, we'll recap the last 3 games that just happened. We'll probably spend the least amount of time on the New Jersey one, even though it was one of the most interesting, because it was so long ago and I don't remember that far. Then we have, of course, the news that the Canucks are out on Ethan Bear, who we've sort of just been waiting for them to sign, and now we know won't happen. And maybe talk about, what options the Canucks have, because I think we're both pretty confident they need to shore up their defense a little bit more. And then we can talk about the 4 upcoming games, including 2 early ones this weekend. We've got an 11 a.m. on Saturday and a noon on Sunday.
What the heck?
Which will be a bit bizarre.
Yes, and I've spoiled, at least on my show, that the plan is to have all 4 of us on Game Over Vancouver on the Saturday game, almost like our early, I don't know, we call it a Christmas gift to our viewers. I'm not sure if they would accept that as a gift, but yes, we're going to try and get together on the Saturday. But at least, some people really like those early games, Parker. I don't know about you, because then I don't know. I like ending my day with the Canucks game and then doing our shows or whatever. But some people like it at the start because then they have the rest of their day to do whatever they would do on a weekend.
Yeah, it's I kind of like it. Saturday at 11 is pretty nice. Just thinking like, you wake up on a Saturday, because normally like I watch football, right? And
yes,
what's lovely about waking up on Sunday, especially being on the West Coast, is you wake up, it's like 9 o'clock. If you get a little sleep in on the weekend, make yourself a coffee, a little breakfast, and like sit down and watch, sports all day. And I can kind of then do that on Saturday now too. I can get up in the morning, watch the Canucks and the Wild at 11. Maybe get slightly camera ready at some point if all 3 of us are going to be on Game Over. And then can do the same thing on Sunday, because the Seahawks don't play Sunday. I have to wait for Monday for them to disappoint me this week. So I get this one in replacement, and it's the Blackhawks. It'll be nice to see my team hopefully win on a Sunday.
That's true. It's the Blackhawks and our app. Yeah, it's funny. They're obviously Bedard is playing in Edmonton tomorrow, so you're gonna see a lot of hype about that. And then we don't get them at home until January, but at least we get them
until I'm in Chicago. Yes.
Wait. Well, that's right. You were in Chicago when they're playing here. Yeah, nice one. Good planning.
Interesting that the Blackhawks are doing a mini Western, like the Oilers and then Seattle and then Vancouver, but not in Vancouver, in Chicago. It's a very weird schedule.
Very strange.
Quite odd.
Yeah, we're ready.
Should we go back in time?
Yeah,
to Tuesday.
Yeah. We gotta talk about it. We do a little bit.
This one was very painful for me because I did Game Over that night. And,
that's right.
And I had and so when it's like, what was it? Like it was what, 3-0 in the first?
Yeah. They were actually down 3-1.
4-1 in the first. 4-1. Okay. Either way, they were losing pretty bad. Um, yeah, I guess it was 4-2 at the end. But yeah, when it was 4-1, when they made it 4-1, I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, well, they're not going to win this game. They're out of it. I'll just focus like analytically, just take an objective view of the game and see how they perform the rest of the way out.
Yeah.
And then Joshua made it 4-2, and I was like, yeah, it's a 2-goal game, but then they did nothing in the second period. And then the third period comes along, and they make it 5-3, and then 5-4. Actually, after the 5-3 goal, I'm thinking like, if there's anything in there's 2 goals in 13 minutes, like this team has the scoring power. Then you get the Lafferty goal, and then I'm like, I'm doing the pacing thing. I'm like, here we go. Now I'm invested. And then, of course, you have Niels Höglander scoring that goal with 3.5 minutes left.
So
and
good.
I'm thinking, wow, they battled back. That is awesome. If they pull this out, it is going to be a very fun show on Game Over.
Huge.
And then, what did the New Jersey Devils do? They started, after doing nothing for 16.5 minutes in the third period, they started to dominate the game.
We didn't get into their zone. Yeah, we didn't get into their zone.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay. Now I'm just like, please get a point. Please get a point. Please get. And of course they don't. So obviously I just sort of skimmed through a lot of that game, but we can sort of go back in time. That was sort of my overall experience. That one made me mad.
Yeah, and that's a very good summation. We don't have to go through all the goals because all the goals for the Devils were basically the same: is bad coverage, rebound, puck in the net. But and I'm being a little bit facetious, but not really. Yeah, I watched your Game Over because I was coming home. I was at the game with my boss, and it took him. We had a lot of fun, and I was showing him your show as we were. At a stoplight. Don't worry, I'm not that unsafe. But you look defeated. Like I could feel your emotion oozing through my car. Not my car. In my car through the phone screen. I felt bad because to be down 4-1 and the life sucked complete out of the building. And I'm sure you saw it on TV. I was there. I felt it. Then 4-2. You're right. You're saying this is a tough team to come back on. Then 5-2. Okay, we're done. And then 5-3. Okay, maybe 5-4. Oh yeah, this 5-5. Oh, this is happening for sure. And then it'd be one thing if New Jersey dominated and scored and still gave us like 3 minutes to catch up and tie it up, but they waited till like 30 seconds left, and it was just all that for nothing. All that for nothing.
Yeah, and that was the most frustrating part, right? It was like, man, this team really showed up for 16 minutes today. Like they came out firing in the third period, dominated the play, and then just we're like they tied it up and like, all right, we're good. We don't have to do anything else. That was our job. And then they just sat back. That was the frustrating thing to me. It was like, man, like this New Jersey team showed that they can just fall apart, and you have done it to them. You have made them fall apart. And then you just, instead of putting your foot further on the gas, they just let up, and they let New Jersey take it back. And it's one of those ones where like that one just hurts. That was at least a point that you have fought so hard to get. And you just didn't.
Yeah, the only saving grace. Well, at least it wasn't a Pacific Division. It wasn't a conference team. It wasn't a Pacific Division team. But still, you still want. And it goes the other way too. Like if we had won this game in extra time, I wouldn't care that we gave up the extra point to the other team because ultimately it doesn't affect us in the.
I think I even said that on Game Over Vancouver. I was like, why? Like New Jersey, like they didn't do like the sort of gentleman's like, hey, 3.5 minutes left, we're tied. We all want points here. Both teams want a point. Let's get to OT,
You're right. Didn't Hughes brothers talk about that before the game? Come on.
You'd think, right? Yeah. But no, they didn't.
Yeah. And we don't have to go through goal by goal. It'll take forever because there's 11 goals. But wouldn't you agree? Like a lot of the Jersey goals were Canucks giveaways or a defenseman. And I get defense. Parker is a team concept. The forward's got to play defense as well. But first one, Hronik pinches 2-on-1. So the second one, Myers just basically gives it to Jack Hughes in the corner. The last one, Ian Cole loses it up the boards. I know Joshua had a bit to do that too. Just really frustrating mistakes from the blue line.
Yeah, that Myers giveaway hurt the most on that.
What'd you think of that play?
Just having a little bit of pressure on him, and he panicked as the pressure was let off of him. Like, what a scouting report by Jack Hughes. Just being like, I'm going to make him think I'm going to do something. And I'm just going to back off because he's just going to try to throw it up the boards.
So what's Zadorov doing there too? What's Zadorov doing there?
I don't know why. I don't know where there's 3 people in the corner. I don't know why the 2 defensemen and the center are all in the corner. I don't have a good answer for that because there isn't one. Yeah,
Oh,
that was terrible. Zadorov should be on the guy in front of the net. Miller should be either on the guy on the wall harder or in the passing lane or doing something.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just no one did their job on that play.
Well, and then I guess and we'll give credit, like it was a nice comeback, but I guess the game tying goal, Quinn Hughes was so good on the line, just shielding Timo Meyer, like actually literally turning his back to him and just keeping away from him. Then remember he went through. There's a mess of 4 players at the blue line. He
Yeah.
got through that, and then to have that shot, take the shot away, and then Hoglander in the right place, right time. That was outstanding.
Yeah, very poor play from Timo Meyer. Because Quinn Hughes literally turns his back to him, and Meyer just shoves him, and then Hughes just turns away, and then he has that first shot that gets blocked and comes right back to him. And then he just throws that second one at the net, and it's a big rebound. And I mean, credit to Hoglander, he had to really reach back for that one.
Yes,
that's one that you see sort of like slide under the guy's stick a lot of the time. You got to be really strong to pull that back. I mean, Niels Hoglander, this game was a statement, I think, for him.
Yeah.
Like, this was him saying, like, no, you're like, I'm not coming out of the lineup ever again. Like, I can play in the top 6. I can do whatever. I know we can sort of talk about that later when we talk about, who sort of impressed us this week, but Niels Hoglander, far and away, I think has been over the last week and a bit, their best player almost.
What was the mood like in the chat that night, Parker, for Game Over?
It was frustrated for sure.
Yeah.
People weren't really people were just like, how do you, it was a lot of anti Tyler Myers sentiment, which, we've seen before. The mood wasn't great.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure you did your best to right the ship though.
Sure. Yeah. No, I was very positive.
Good.
And the thing is, that's one of those games that, like, if you really zoom out a little bit, like, that's one of those games that might break a team.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of thinking about that going into the game on Thursday. I was like, man, how is their mental here? Because they're going up against a team that hasn't lost under their new coach. They just, sort of used everything they had in that previous game to go out there and win it, and they fell short. Like, are they going to be able to bounce back? And then they went out and had 17 shots against the Minnesota Wild and won.
Yes, that game. That was the definition of low event hockey. That's for sure.
Yeah, 43 shots total. The Canucks have had 43 shots in a game this year.
Like by themselves,
I think so.
There got to be. There got to be. Yes. Yeah, this one was interesting. The Minnesota completely, and this was weird because I was watching this one obviously with a discerning eye for Vancouver, because I had Game Over, and then I had Game Over the next day, Parker, for Edmonton, Minnesota. So I was watching for obviously our show, Game Over Vancouver, and then I had to do Game Over Edmonton the next night. By the way, funny story about that. I came home and I realized it wasn't on TV. And then I couldn't watch it on Sportsnet because of the
blackout,
stupid local blackout. So then I tried all these illegal streaming sites, couldn't find it.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. So then finally I bought Sportsnet Premium. And I can see if bosses will reimburse me.
Oh, yeah, so you gotta invoice that. That's an expense. It's business.
Yeah, I was going to tell you off air, but I couldn't. It was so funny. So I was panicking. It was like 10 minutes in the game. Like, what am I going to do? Like, so. Yeah. We'll make it work. I might keep it for a couple months to watch the wrestling pay-per-views and then cancel it. We'll see.
The Canucks had 43 shots in that game against the Islanders, the Bo Horvat game.
Good catch.
So
good catch. So they get dominated in the first period. But they get the only goal of the first period, which is nice.
Yeah, and I missed most of this game. I think I watched the first period. I had my own hockey game, which was at like 8:15, which is the worst time for me because that is the entirety. It's like you got to leave for the rink when halfway through the first period, and then you get off the ice as the game's ending. So it's just a bit of a write-off. And I checked my phone after the game. I'm like, all right. So my buddy, our goalie, he allowed 1 goal. And I was like, wow, you didn't do as good as Casey DeSmith tonight. And that's how our team found out that they won.
Well, and did you guys win?
Yes. We did score more than 1 goal. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So you went 100 for the night, or 1,000. Yeah, that first goal, Hoglander was nice. What was really nice about it, he doesn't get an assist, but Zadorov, just a 6'6" Russian freight train come down the middle,
just guns to the net. I love it. I watched. I think I left right after this goal.
Oh, you
'Cause I
saw
had the
it. Good.
time. I had the time to watch it, and I literally am sitting there, and I'm like, is that Dakota? No, that's a 9 on the jersey. And he just went to the net, and he just peeled off. Like he was like,
Yep.
he didn't stop. Like a
Oh,
forward would. He was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get back if something goes wrong, which is good. But Hoglander just walks in,
yeah.
takes the trailer roll on his own, and just rips a shot. It's perfectly placed. It is just above the pad, short side.
Yeah.
It's a great shot.
It was a 3-on-2 basically, right? Because Miller was in the middle, correct?
I'd call it a 3-on-2.5. Kaprizov was all over Miller's back. But I think Miller's strong enough that if that puck got to him, but Kaprizov did have a stick in the lane. Like Hoglander, that pass wasn't getting through. Depending on when he gave it over. If he passed it over earlier, then like right as they crossed the blue line, then he would have had him. But
yeah, you're right. Hoglander shows really good poise and a really strong shot. And yeah, a period they got dominated, but they end up with the only goal, which is obviously nice against the flow of the play for sure.
Yeah, and I remember Shorty calling it on the broadcast when Minnesota, I think the shots were like 8-0 or something along those lines, and he was like, Minnesota hasn't scored. This is one of those times where you'd be a little nervous if you were a Wild fan, because sometimes you get something against the flow of play, and he called it. It's exactly what happened. The Canucks get on a rush while the shots are 11-3, and a perfectly placed one gives the Canucks the first goal.
Yes, and I'll tell you, you didn't miss a lot. Obviously, not just by the scoring, but
right.
Yeah, there are 2 fights though in the game. 2 fights.
That's good.
Yeah, Middleton and Joshua in the middle of the second period, which can't remember what precipitated that. And then in the third period, with 12 seconds left. By the way, Pat Maroon yes, he's a Stanley Cup winner. The guy's a complete goof now. He's slow. He tried to fight. He fought Zadorov, and it wasn't much of a fight. I don't know.
I did see that. Yeah,
not much. Although I think if you had to pick a winner, it's probably Maroon, unfortunately.
So the Canucks have a good second period, right?
Yeah.
That was the
Yep.
Let me pull
They reversed
the old analytics here. At all situations, first period expected goals were 1.8 for the Wild, 0.3 for the Canucks. So 87% expected goals for the Wild, which is that's really bad. Like we don't see that very often. Until the next period, when the Canucks had 1.46 expected goals for to 0.12 goals against for 92.5%.
How's that possible?
And then the third period was 75-25 in favor of the Wild, obviously, as they were trying to claw that one back. So yeah, just 3 separate games essentially in this one, but the Canucks get 3 shots in the third period, and one of them is again just on sort of, it's not really a zone entry, but everyone's sort of coming down from the blue line. Ian Cole,
Juleson.
It pulled me back too far. Connor Garland makes that play up. Juleson kind of gets the puck on the boards, wins the battle, which is good for him because he's been okay at best, I think. Gets it to Garland, and he just, both D-men step the wrong way. They both step forward. Garland sauces it through, and Blueger just backhand forehand beats the goalie.
Yeah, it was a great pass by Garland, actually. You're right. Yeah, it was a wonderful pass. Actually, Garland had a really nice pass earlier in the period, too. He sprung Besser on a breakaway, and Besser hit the post. I know Garland... Joshua also had a breakaway, but he got caught not shooting. Just kind of went to the side of the net. So technically, it could have been 3-4-0. Even that's why the expected goals, I guess, were so big for the Canucks. No, that was the second period. Never mind. Regardless, Garland had a really good game. He set up Besser for that one, and then this one. And Blueger showed a lot of poise. Like these Blueger and Susie, Blueger and Suter, who I know were missing. They're expected to play really good defense, kill penalties, but if they do have the skill, Parker, to score, but we don't expect them to score 20 goals as a third and fourth line. But if they can do their 10 or 12, that's huge for this team.
Yeah, Blueger hasn't done a ton offensively. He's at 4 points. He's only played 14 games. But I mean, he's supposed to be the 4C, right? That's supposed to be his role. And he's been doing a pretty good job of it. I haven't had any real complaints with his game thus far.
I agree. The only complaint I have is Blueger and Suter are never healthy at the same time. Blueger started
that would be nice.
Hurt, and then Suter was great. Now Suter is hurt, and Blueger is doing just fine. So hopefully we see Suter tomorrow, if not Thursday at the latest. That's the plan, I think.
Yeah, Absolutely. So the Canucks get their one back, which means they're
Yes.
due to lose to Carolina. And they made it a little iffy at times in this one. First period, Canucks open the scoring. This is the Lafferty goal, where this is just Elias Pettersson being good. Comes in off the wing into the middle of the ice. Sam Lafferty does what Nikita Zadorov did the previous game, just charges the net through two guys. Pettersson sort of just trying to get something on net low, hits a skate or a stick or something from the Carolina player. And the juiciest rebound for Sam Lafferty. Like, it's going off to the side, so he's got a wide open net. He's not missing that one. Not many people are. But I mean, he created a lot of that play, right? He created that opening. He twisted the defenseman around, and he made that shot be a little awkward coming through. So Sam Lafferty stocks are going up.
A couple of things too. Every time that Rick Tocchet says something about Sam Lafferty doing what a true power forward should do, or a great power move, he's not dissing Kuzmenko, but it is in stark contrast to Kuzmenko, because basically Lafferty is in Kuzmenko's spot. So I always think about that when he praises Lafferty. But Petey, I know we're going to talk about all his points, but when Petey is on his game, one thing I noticed, Parker, is his skating. He's never been the smoothest skater, but his moves just look so fluid. His dekes, his stick handling, and that was a perfect example of that goal where he kind of weaves through, like you said, and then gets that quick shot off, producing that juicy rebound. So Pettersson obviously had a really good game, and he looks really good. It looked really good, a lot better than he has been.
Pettersson's got such a unique skating and movement style. Like, it's so obvious when you see him out there that it's him. And yeah, when he's on, it's so clear, and he just creates so much space on his own. And that was a good example of it. And then another one being their next goal, right? Where they come in essentially 2-on-1. Mikheyev turns around, finds Pettersson, kind of rolls off of his stick, and you're thinking, what a missed opportunity. And then even like Pettersson looks up, you're like, hey, get it to Mikheyev, right? He's like, that's your only, like, the play is about to be over as I think it's Natchez comes in to break up that passing lane. And then Pettersson just keeps it, goes all the way to the goal line. And then Mikheyev, I don't know if you've watched this replay in slow-mo. Mikheyev makes such a good play here, because before the puck has left Pettersson's stick, like before he's even at the goal line, Mikheyev goes and does a quick chop to get stick position over the defender. And then the pass comes in and is right there. Like, it is two extremely skilled players just knowing each other and knowing exactly what the play is going to be. Very, very smart goal.
Yeah, that was awesome. Just Mikheyev knowing what Petey was going to do. Well, I guess he only had one option, but
he could have been like, my guy's covered, I'm going to reverse, right? I'm going to curl back, because he had room to curl back along the boards, right? Maybe try to play it up to Quinn Hughes on the point, or try to go like back for Lafferty in the face-off circle, or just ring it around to the far D-man, right? Hronek's back there too. There's a lot of options, but like that puck, that pass gets broken up way more often than not, but Mikheyev just got stick position at the exact perfect time.
And Nature's probably kicking himself, saying, of course he was going to do that. Why didn't? But that was such a smart, skilled play. Yeah, I agree with you. It was nice. It was really nice. Then you think you're laughing 2-0 on we saw what happened.
Yeah. Carolina answers right back, sort of a 2-on-1 turning into a 3-on-2-ish. Pass on the 2-on-1 gets through. Hronek, that's been Hronek's weakness. Has been sort of, passes getting through him a lot on plays like this. That one just goes right between his stick and his skates. It's perfectly placed. And just a quick shot upstairs on Demko. Gets through for Martinuk, who, of course, it's his first goal of the year, because that's what the Canucks love to do.
At least it wasn't his first of his career. Did Hughes give it away, or was it there had to be a 2-on-1 somehow. I'm not sure if the replay goes back that far.
It does. What happened here?
Yeah.
So Quinn Hughes pinched, and then he tried to throw it in front instead of cycling it around. And it just got broken up.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
not the best play by Hughes, but if that puck gets through, then it might be a goal. So it's kind of
fair enough.
A little results oriented, but not ideal.
Yeah, we'll take it. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Goal number 4 in this one then is JT Miller just hopping off the bench. So this is just the reason Niels Höglander's been such like he's okay. He did get the second assist on this one, but he's been so good. Like, and I sort of mentioned it. I think on my Game Over stream after Höglander scored the tying goal, where you always say like Garland looks really busy, where
Yeah.
Niels Höglander is really busy. Like he's going and doing the same things and he's getting something out of it, right? He just goes in, wins a battle, cycles it down for Besser, who curls away, who again like wins a battle, curls away, and then JT Miller's hopping off the bench and no one picks him up. He's skating downhill, puck comes to him right at the hash marks, and he's got such a good shot. He's not missing that most of the time. So Canucks get their 3-1 lead right back.
You hear Tocchet give praise, and Miller, they both gave praise to Petey for not staying out, trying to extend his shift, recognizing that his two line mates have gone. And he doesn't do the Ian Cole, which I know we're going to talk about it, and take a casual skate to the bench. He bolts it to the bench so Miller can jump on. It was really good, actually. Really nice play.
The Canes did get one right before the period ended, which always hurts on the power play. Just sort of one last gasp on the power play on the rush. Just a quick little pass down low, and puck gets through. Is that Hughes? Yeah, Quinn Hughes just didn't get his stick on it. Again, I didn't watch all of this game. I was at a holiday gathering, but
You're a busy guy, man.
I was watching the game. I was focused more on the game than anything else.
Were all the women in front of the TV like last week? Were all the women in front of the TV? And you guys were in the
everyone
kitchen?
there was less people, so we could all fit around the TV. But yeah, just not the best night for Hughes. I mean, how much did he play? Didn't he play?
Well, it was a lot less than usual.
Under 20 minutes, less than Tyler Myers and less than Nikita Zadorov.
Wow,
which is usually not a good sign. And he wasn't out there in the dying minutes trying to protect a 1-goal lead.
I was with my wife Gail Parker at this game, and they show this goal score and they put his name up, and she goes, "How do you pronounce that?" I said, "Shea." She goes, "How is SKJEI Shea?" I said, "I don't know. Just trust me, it's Shea."
Was it his name was one of the ones in that SNL sketch? I think,
yes, it was
the rapper one.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. Yeah,
yeah, and that's fair. That is it's a very interesting way of spelling it, but that's
very good.
And you would think like, he must be from like Finland, and it's Minnesota.
Wow.
So 3-2 going into the third, and Carolina does tie it up. It's Steven Nason, which again, not how it is spelled. Shot from the point, just gets tipped, and it hits the crossbar. An inch higher, and it's behind the net. No big deal. An inch lower, and Demko probably gets it. And it just hits the crossbar, and Nason has a gift. It's just sitting there in the crease. He taps it in to make it 3-3, which is stressful. But the Canucks did answer right back. And this one, again, you mentioned when Pettersson is on, play starts with a nice little Lafferty drive all the way around. Plays it back to the point. That's fine. And then, Mikheyev plays it down low, and Pettersson just goes to it, puts the brakes on to sort of get a little bit of separation on Aho, and then like swings his stick. And he is like, this is an impressive wraparound. He goes 5-hole from behind the net. Like, usually you see a guy like at least get a foot to the goal line on a wraparound that isn't near side. But to get that much reach and to swing that 5-hole was very impressive from Pettersson.
Yeah, didn't bank off a defenseman's skate or his own player skate. It was, that's impressive reach and skill, I guess. Everything.
Yeah,
geometry.
So that's a third assist. It should be for Sam Lafferty, like not a second assist, but a third assist. So it doesn't count. But that is how it would remain. The Canucks basically hung on for dear life. They didn't have. I don't think they have any more shots in the rest of the game. That was their 22nd. They had 2 more shots for the rest of the game, which not ideal. They were hanging on for dear life, but they were able to hang on. Thanks really to Demko, who has been sort of on and off lately. And, you look at the stats, 3 goals and 24 shots doesn't look great, but that period he came up huge when he needed to.
Yep. And by winning this game, the Canucks win consecutive games for the first time since November 15th, when they knocked off Bo Horvat, the visiting Islanders. And I want to get into the too many men, but we can do that by acknowledging donations. So firstly, thank you, Fangirl, for acknowledging her membership for 17 months. That's awesome. That's a year and a half. Thank you. And then Spartan, thank you with the $2 donation, says, when will the Canucks learn to count to 5? So too many men penalties in the same period, Parker. The same two guys too.
That's tough. That's something you really don't want to see. And that second one results in that tying goal, right? Or not the tying goal, the goal that made it 3-2. It's a weird thing that has been a problem through a few coaches with this team and through like a few different rosters. I don't know what it is. But yeah, whether it was Green or Boudreau or now Tocchet, this team always finds a way to have too many guys out there.
Yeah. Did you actually? I know you're at the party. Did you actually see any replay of the two or not?
I didn't. I remember them happening, but I don't like specifically remember what the situations were.
The first one, basically Quinn Hughes jumped on for Ian Cole and played the puck, and some people were saying Hughes could have just waited a split second, or Hughes could have skated a bit faster. The second one, Hughes, Cole. He was looking like he came in the bench, and then he peeled off and stayed on and tried to wave Hughes back. And by then Hughes had already jumped on too. So it was the famous Cole to Hughes pairing that caused both of them.
Yes. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. They gotta work something out there a little bit, you know.
Yes.
Hopefully
practice
they can. So yeah, Canucks get their 2 wins, and for a month of essentially win one, lose one. Right. Yep. You said they haven't won consecutive games since the 15th.
Yeah.
And they've only they lose consecutive games once.
Not since that 15th, but before that they did.
The 2 games after the 15th, they lost
they did.
both of those.
Gotcha.
But then they were just win one, lose one for a big stretch there. And if that's going to be the sort of quote unquote bad times for this team, right? If that's this team's floor, I'd be pretty happy with that because, hey, you look, they're still second in the division. I mean, sure, the Kings will be past them. And the Oilers are coming. They are
scary.
They are churning. But look, I mean, after all that, they're still 12 points up on the Oilers. They're still 12 points up on the Flames. They're like the Kraken are dead. They've won one of their last 10. They lost 8 in a row. I mean, they're done. The Ducks have also won one of their last 10. They're not like there's only 5 teams that could theoretically make the playoffs in the Pacific Division, and I don't think the Flames have it. Huberdeau is looking atrocious, and they don't have it. Like it's gonna be 4 teams coming out of the Pacific. It's gonna be Vegas, Vancouver, LA, and Edmonton, most likely. And then the only dark horse that could really mess with any of that is the Arizona Coyotes somehow. But even then, you know, Canucks got 9 points on them too. So they've got some buffer to play with.
Yeah, great point. Great point about that's why those early season wins, even though we're kind of laughing at some of them, 8-1s and 5-0s and blah blah blah, but those count just as much, and it's just proving how important they are because you're right, they've barely slipped. Yeah, I'm not worried about Edmonton. Even if Edmonton passes us, I'm not worried that we're gonna drop to 5th in our division nor out of the wild card spot. So as long as the Canucks don't mess up, they're gonna make the playoffs. But it's kind of fascinating that we have to worry about them now instead of thinking it's gonna be a 3-team dogfight for first place because they've won 7 in a row now, right?
7 in a row after their coaching change. That is
wow.
And McDavid has rocketed up the charts too. So going to playoff odds, at least this is from The Athletic. There's other ones out there as well. They have right now Canucks are projected to get 101 points, which is fine. 93% chance of making the playoffs. They've got Edmonton at 96% chance of making the playoffs. Not very surprised. I mean, I like Edmonton's still good. We thought they were going to be good at the start of the season. They had a really bad couple of weeks. A month and a half, I guess. Yeah. A couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, you look at their sort of playoff charts and they have 3 teams locked in the Central, essentially.
Yep.
Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg. They're all going to be in the playoffs. And then there's that drop off where you essentially and then on the Pacific side, you have Vegas, LA, Vancouver, Edmonton, all essentially guaranteed to make it, all higher than 86%. And then, that it's really that last spot in the West. And it's just a toss up between Nashville, Minnesota, Arizona, and a little bit of Calgary. Yeah. And so the Canucks really shouldn't be too concerned with themselves about that. I think everything points to the Canucks being, 3rd or 4th. I imagine, like if Edmonton continues this run, they fall to fourth, and I think they'll be okay. But you know, LA and Vegas look too good to catch.
Yes, I agree with you. How about before we get to Ethan Bear, and it kind of sets up the next week too? What do you think about the Kuzmenko thing? Is it something where within 3 weeks he's going to be back on the top line? Are you fine with this tough love? Is the relationship fractured? Because I keep saying I get surprised when I hear trade talk, because yes, I get that's $5.5 million this year, next year. You could use to, can you imagine like a Tanev? You get Tanev because you free up $5 million, whatever. But then he's kind of like the guy you want in the playoffs, because he can get very hot, very streaky, and help you win a series. So I don't know how I feel. I don't know what's going to happen, Parker. I just surprised we're here for 6 weeks
Yeah,
into
and
the
I
season.
saw some discourse today of people being
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, of course, his shooting percentage went down to 10%. Like it went down to
Mm,
league average. Well, wow, what a surprise!" And it's like that's not the problem here, though,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
The problem is how he looks out there, right? Last year he looked dangerous at all times when he got the puck.
Yes.
You're like, that man, he could do something here. This year he looks like he doesn't want to make a play.
Yes.
There's one play where he has like the puck in the slot and he defers. It's just like he's lost a bit of his mojo.
Yep.
And I think part of that is, Rick Tocchet trying to instill stuff in him in a way that maybe works really well for a JT Miller and maybe doesn't work as well for an Andrei Kuzmenko. Not that that's his fault, right? That's on Kuzmenko to figure out. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we saw 4 goals this year,
Yep.
whereas he had
Yep.
39 last year, right? He should have 15 if we're going on that pace almost, right? Maybe 14, 13. But yeah, he just hasn't been there. Do I think he can bounce back? Sure. Yeah, why not? I think he just needs to get like 2 bad goals and just start going.
Yes.
It just feels like he's fighting everything.
Yeah. 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 So do you think by Christmas is he back on the top line?
Um, I mean, he's got some competition now, right? I mean, like Niels Höglander has looked like he could take that role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I'd be fine with. Sam Lafferty can do it if he wants to too. Yeah, in a perfect world where everyone's playing to their potential, Kuzmenko should be on the first line.
I agree.
And I don't know if he's there by Christmas. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
But maybe
Yep.
hopefully, but maybe mid-January, he starts to pick something up. And I could be wrong, right? It could be that this is just what he ends up being this year and it sucks, but they have other players that are stepping up and filling these roles, right? We talk about Niels Höglander, who's got 13 points in 26 games, 9 goals for the guy
Yeah.
in 26 games, right? You talk about Sam Lafferty. He's also at half a point a game. He's got 15 points in 28 games, 8 goals, 7 assists. Sam
Wow.
Lafferty is a plus 15 this year. Like not that plus minus matters. I mean,
Wow.
Niels Höglander's a plus 12. But yeah, like you got guys who are they're filling the holes in these cases. But yeah, if you had Kuzmenko on and you had Elias Pettersson on, like you saw last game, yeah, that 500 stretch is the low point if those guys come back and are back to their full potential.
Yeah. 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 I do think, yeah, it's just nice to have options, because now Tocchet can say, even if he brings Kuzi back up, and let's say Hoglander stays on that second line because he's much better there over PDG, then maybe Kuzmenko's struggling, or God, hopefully he doesn't get hurt. But now okay, I can put Lafferty up here for small spurts or even longer spurts. So it's nice to have options. I don't think every single lineup change means trade's coming. But yeah, the longer Kuzi's down there playing 10 minutes a game and not getting a shift in the final 15 minutes, the more this talk is going to amplify in this market for sure.
Yeah, and maybe it's a thing where the Christmas break is just sort of a reset there, right? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
we're taking 5 days off. He can maybe free the. It looks mental to me. It doesn't look like It's not like his shot's gotten worse or anything like that. It looks like he's just fighting the puck.
Yeah.
And it happens. People get like slumps. Slumps happen. Like it's weird to think about, even for like myself as a guy who plays beer league hockey once a week. I'll go 5 games in a row, which is over the course of like a month and a half, and I'll score like 8 goals in those 5 games, and then I'll go 5 games and do nothing. And it's all in your head. You get there, you're like, man, I haven't done anything lately. Maybe today is the day, and of course you're still fighting it. So I can't imagine what it's like when you're playing every other night and you can't get anything going.
Yeah, no, well said. Well said. Okay, enough about Kuzmenko. We should probably talk about Bear. He's the headline in our
Yeah, he's
in our
half the
thing.
headline.
Half the headline.
Yeah, Ethan Bear comes out. Was it this morning?
Yeah, Dollywall and others.
So we heard last week that the Canucks were no longer the front runner, as it was, as the Capitals were sort of taking over. And then, as of today, Rick Dollywall tweets out, I don't remember the exact quote, but Bear said, the Canucks were told today that they are out on Ethan Bear. You think this is a strictly money issue? Like,
Yeah,
did the
I do.
Capitals just raise their, they start bringing more money to the table?
Yeah, the way Dollywall talks about it, he said the Canucks were willing to offer a year at $1 million, and then Bear wanted a year at 1.5 million from other teams, and then Capitals might come in at 2 years, 2 million. And if you're Ethan Bear coming off a major surgery, that 2 year security is huge, plus $1 million a year more. That's huge too. I don't think there's any bad blood. Washington's got a lot of money. Backstrom's not going to play this season. That's kind of why Ovechkin's so bad right now, but that's another story. So I just think there's as much as it is natural. He was training here. He's such a good partner for Hughes. We forget sometimes that there's 31 other teams. Not all of them are interested, but if a team can throw money and term at him, I don't blame Ethan Bear at all. Although I think it would be really nice. He always automatically becomes our second best right shot defenseman, I think, after Hronek, and then it gives you more options. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, I hear those numbers and I'm like, that's not that expensive.
Yeah,
even if it, for a third pairing D man, $2 million, that's not that expensive. However,
that's true.
There's also some value in setting a number and sticking with it and saying like, hey, this is what we'll pay you. You can take it, or if someone else will give you more, that's fine. But we're not going to allow you to essentially leverage those against us, right?
Right.
Maybe that has some long-term value with his agent and with just agents in general. And maybe that's Alvin saying like, hey, we are now the way we've been playing. This is a place that people might want to play. We don't have to pay above market rate like we did when we were winning 30 games a year.
Right.
So maybe that's part of it.
Good point.
But yeah, I have to imagine, he's been the most active GM in the league this season. You got to imagine there's something else up the sleeve, right?
Yes.
They have right now. You look at like, they have $3.7 million in cap space, but that's until Susie comes back, right? That all goes away. They essentially go down to $450K in cap space. So they definitely would have to get rid of somebody in order to bring Ethan Bear in, right? And maybe that's why the $1 million was easy, because you sign a guy for $1 million, you send someone else down and bury $1 million, and it's essentially a wash. But they don't have that luxury if it's $2 million.
Exactly.
They can't get that done.
And we hardly got a chance to celebrate the newfound cap space because they used the 4.1 they got from Beauvillier to sign Zadorov at 3.75. So there's that $400,000 you're talking about. So you're right. It's going to necessitate another move, and that's why the other interesting part, Parker, is in the same breath. Rick Dollywall mentions Chris Tanev, who's on the last year of his 4-year, $4.5 million contract. So then I'm thinking, and I in my quick video today, I'm saying, well, if you trade a Kuzmenko, if you trade a Garland, there's your $5 million to get a guy like Tanev. But I'm not saying we should do it. I'm not saying that Calgary would trade a second defenseman to us in the span of a season, but it makes you think for sure.
Yeah, Calgary had another tough loss tonight. They lost 6-5 to the Avs in regulation too, to add a little bit extra to it. When you say that, right, Connor Garland's name sticks right out to me. And again, 9 points in 28 games, just 2 goals, right? For the amount of flack that I gave Anthony Beauvillier for having 2 goals and both being against the Sharks, and all the times I've said that the Canucks shouldn't trade Connor Garland. 2 goals is 2 goals in 28 games, right? We're a third of the way through the season now, which is crazy to think about, but this is the third of the season mark. He's on pace for 6 goals. I don't care if you're producing well analytically and you're due, normally I am, right? When this team was, 8 points out of a playoff spot, I was like, hey, I want people to, be analytically good because this team's not making the playoffs anyway. So let's build off of this. But now we're talking about a team that's, competing for a playoff spot, and they're pretty comfortably in one, but you have the Oilers pushing, you have the Coyotes pushing, right? One slump and you're a bit, things get a bit hairy. So yeah, if we need to cut a guy like Connor Garland, free up almost $5 million of space, and again, I for all the good things I've said about Connor Garland, there's 2 more years left on that deal. And that was I still thought that was a positive value until this season. Again, I made that video about why they shouldn't trade him. But he's been a lot worse this year. Maybe a little tougher. There's a lot of real money left on that contract, right? It was a little backloaded, but yeah, if you can move out that $5 million, right? I'd much rather move that out than move Kuzmenko's money out. Again, Kuzmenko's shorter. It's a little bit more. It's $550K more. But I think Kuzmenko's a better player right now than Connor Garland is. And like I said, that contract's a year shorter. And I think, we've seen Kuzmenko be a 39 goal player. We have not seen Connor Garland get anywhere close to that, and we won't. Kuzmenko still has 15 points this year to Connor Garland's, 9. If you can find a way to cut Garland and use that at that point, over $5 million in cap space that they'd have, then things get a little interesting. I don't know what it would cost. It might be expensive. But I have this trust now in Patrick Allvin every acquisition that Patrick Allvin has made since the start of the offseason has been cheaper than expected.
Yeah.
Right. Ian Cole, 1 year, $3 million. Susie was cheaper than we thought. Bluger and Suter cost almost nothing. Of course, the Zadorov trade, we thought that was going to be a second. It was a third, and Bavillier's pick. Everything has been
Lafferty for a fifth.
Sam Lafferty for a fifth, and then Toronto goes and signs Ryan Reeves, who is an absolute black hole and not an NHL hockey player. All of these moves, hey, you have absolutely earned the benefit of the doubt. If you want to go buy a player, who are we? Who are we to say no? The previous GM, I would be nervous, but right now, he's hitting everything out of the park so far.
Yeah, and going back to your original point about is Allvin and Rutherford done? No, because whether it's Bear or Tanev, you need to be at least 7-8 defensemen deep to go to the playoffs. So let's just say that we got Ethan Bear just for the sake of discussion. Yes, you have 7 now bona fide defensemen, but you need 7 because they would be Hughes, Hronek, Bear, Cole, Susie, Zadorov, and Myers. Because I'm not sure if I consider Friedman or Juleson or McWard or Hirose or Wilana as much as we want, like some of these guys. They're not tried and true playoff battle tested defensemen. So you need to go 7, 8, 9 deep. So that's why I do agree with you. I think they are still going to get another defenseman. I don't know who it's going to be. Probably right shot guy, because we're kind of overloaded on the left. But that's why Dollywall mentioned both Chris Tanev and Jalen Chatfield. He mentioned.
Interesting. Does Carolina have any interest in getting rid of him though?
Well, I don't know.
They haven't been playing to their expectations this year.
And his contract, Parker, is beautiful. He's in the second year of a 2-year, $762,500 a year. 762. Yeah. So $800,000.
That is that's very cheap. And he's been good in Carolina. That's an interesting one. It's the thing, like, how much would a Jalen Chatfield cost? Like, it doesn't.
Nothing.
In a trade, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it would cost a little, but
what?
It can't be that much.
Like a 4th or 5th rounder, you mean? Something like that?
Maybe. I don't know. For some reason, it's like, he's playing on their roster. It's going to be expensive, but then it's also
right.
He's Jalen. Like, he's only 27, and he's looked decent for them. Like, he was really good for them last year, but if you're pulling Jalen Chatfield back for a 4th or something along those lines, that bolsters it up a lot. It's cheaper than Ethan Bear, and it's probably similar caliber.
He's actually doing pretty good. He's got 7 points in 22 games. Last year he had 14 points in 78. So he's already
last year,
and he's already at half of his thing in way better scoring rate. But he was a plus 23 last year. He's a -1, but still.
Yeah, but the team's doing worse this year, right? As a whole, I don't know if that's entirely his fault. I haven't been watching the Hurricanes much.
We'll blame the whole.
But I did say they have the second worst or the worst goaltending in the league, which I'm going to imagine is more at fault than Jalen Chatfield.
I would agree with that for sure. Wow.
So yeah, Canucks aren't done. They can't be done because Noah Juleson is still playing. Well, I mean, like, they have an injury. Carson Soucy's out, and that's and they need to be able to ice 6 confidently NHL defensemen when they have an injury, and that's what they have. They have 6 NHL defensemen on their roster.
Right okay, 30-second answer for both of us. Let's convince each other why Juleson is playing more than Friedman. Is it simply the physical aspect that he brings that Friedman doesn't?
I mean, to give him the benefit of the doubt, he has been analytically better than Friedman has.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I'm going to see if I can pull up the numbers really quick. Let me go by expected goals for.
Okay. While you're pulling that up,
5.
No problem. I will acknowledge Spartan's second donation. Thank you, Spartan. Do we need to send PDG down to give Podkolzin another look? I think we'll see Podkolzin by the end of the season. I just don't know when. But yeah, I think it's a safe bet that we will see him by the end of the year.
So at 5-on-5, Mark Friedman is 6th on the team in expected goals for percentage, while Noah Juleson's 21st. 53% for Mark Friedman, 45% for Juleson. So Juleson is worse on the team. Case. Yes. Wow. The issue, I believe, where it was coming from, was that they liked Juleson more on the penalty kill. However, I mean, like expected goals is such a terrible metric on the penalty kill because like you're not expected to score any for the most part. But yeah, I think that was the reasoning. And he's bigger, but yeah, I mean, I just to me I've liked Friedman more, but we haven't seen him in a while. I think it's interesting that they haven't swapped him in at all. Right? They haven't been like, we'll give you one of every 3 games. I'm like, no, Juleson's the guy. Which, kind of bizarre.
Okay. Yeah, just from the eye test perspective, I can see if they like his, because he's not afraid to pummel guy into the boards or whatever. And Tocchet has praised his better decision making, like quick first pass out or not overthinking things, keeping it simple. So I guess so. They know better than us.
Yeah, it's not the biggest deal, right? I would think of Friedman as a minor upgrade, but a minor upgrade to your number 16 man isn't moving the needle a ton, right? When we take Juleson out of the lineup and put Soucy back in, that's what moves the needle, right? Because then you're able to shift guys around, shift guys down, and that would be a difference maker.
I would agree.
While you're here, guys, make sure you hit the like button. We're only at 28, 29. There's 150 guys in here. Hit that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed as well before we get into the previews for the week. If you've missed any parts so far, you can always rewind at the end or find it on your favorite podcast platform. Let's go into the previews because we've got 6 minutes. It's about to be 5 minutes
to do 4 games.
4 games to preview.
All right.
And it starts tomorrow. 2 home games here against the Florida teams. Tomorrow against Tampa Bay. Vasi's back, right?
He is.
Is that correct to say? Okay.
He's got to be. Yeah.
The Lightning have been okay this year, 13-11-5. They haven't had their best goal, like the best goalie in the league for a good chunk of that time, though. They just snuck out a win on Saturday in OT against the Kraken, which, if I remember correctly, I think the Kraken tied late in that one. But they just lost to the Predators 5-1. They did beat the Stars in back-to-back, or no, they beat the Stars 4-0 after losing to them 8-1. So a weird season for the Lightning, a middling team, but always a scary team.
Kucherov leading the league in points. Yeah. So they're still a good team.
And Jack Maloney's saying Stamkos is sick. I know that. I have him in fantasy. So I get the notifications on him. So that's interesting, and might have no Hedman as well. I don't know what that's from, but that could be a boon.
Yeah.
For the Canucks.
Okay, well, I already know what I'm predicting in my head, but I won't give it away until the end where we have to do our 4-game record.
Okay. Game 2, Thursday,
The big
Luongo
one.
night. Panthers
Yes.
Canucks, Thursday night, Ring of
You're
Honor.
going.
I will be there.
I'm going. So
Excellent.
neither of us doing Game Over Vancouver, I think.
Nope. Shouldn't be. I've got tomorrow's game. Yeah. So Thursday against the Panthers. The Panthers have been really good. 17-8-2. They've won 3 in a row. They're 6-3-1 their last 10. They've won their last 3. The last 3 games against the Stars, Penguins, and Columbus. They have the Kraken tomorrow as well, so they'll probably win that one. That'll be an interesting one because obviously you'll have both teams maybe a little bit fired up for Luongo, and should be a good one though.
Yeah, and interesting. You look at these 2 teams, 2 games as a whole. In the second week of the season, our first road trip, we actually lost to Tampa, but we beat Florida. It might be reversed this time, but we'll see. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of energy in the crowd for sure. There's gonna be a lot. It's funny though. I made this point on my stream, Parker. There's no current Canucks players. Well, I guess it makes sense. The Luongo's a little older. No Canucks players that played with them. Besser is the longest tenured Canuck player, and he got drafted after Luongo got traded. So interesting. Yeah. Bunch of coaches though.
We get those morning games.
Yeah.
Saturday in Minnesota, so a pretty good travel, right? To play Thursday at 7, and then I imagine they fly out Thursday night, get to Minnesota late Friday morning, and then they'll play Saturday at 11 a.m. our time, which is odd. The Wild, I mean, the Canucks just beat them, and they've been hot lately, right? They won 4 in a row with their new coach.
Yes.
But they're still a struggling team. And it looks like they lost to the Canucks, then they lost to the Oilers, and then they bounced back and shut out the Kraken yesterday. So they've had they might be getting back on track. But
not the toughest road. Yeah, not the toughest road trip. And we got our 4-person stacked Game Over Vancouver. So I'd love to see a win that day. But yeah, the Canucks should win this one.
Yep. And then they play Sunday at noon, which is really bizarre. So they have essentially the full afternoon of rest on Saturday in Minnesota, or I guess they'll probably go straight to Chicago Saturday night. Yeah. And then they play at noon on Sunday. The Blackhawks will be rested. They play Thursday, and then they have a 2-day break. But it is the Chicago Blackhawks who have won 9 games this season. They've won 4 of their last 10. Like, they haven't been terrible. They beat the Blues, they beat the Ducks. But they've been losing most of the time. But that'll be the first Connor Bedard against Vancouver game.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for. Yeah, it's I think did we talk about it right before we got on air? I can't even remember. But yes, Connor Bedard's not coming here until January 22nd or 20th or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we get to see it a month in advance in Chicago. But yeah, these look like 4 winnable games. But I'm not gonna say 4-0.
No,
are you?
I'm looking at the schedule. I'm gonna go in reverse. Chicago they should beat. Minnesota they should beat. And then I like them in one of those games. I don't know which one. I'm gonna say probably the Florida one, being the game I'll be at and being the Luongo night. So I'm gonna go with a nice 3-1, and that would put them in great shape. Because then they have the Preds and the Stars, which are two big Central opponents.
Yeah, I will not disagree. I will take that 3-1 as well.
Excellent, nice and easy. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up here? We're at the 11 o'clock mark.
No, we and to address. I was just going to type out a comment, but I'll mention it to Jimmy because Jimmy had a fair comment. He says, "I don't understand why people do live shows and don't engage in the chat. Like they are so interesting. They don't need better material." All good, Jimmy. And I will say. When Parker and I are doing our individual shows, either here or on our channels or Game Over, it's a lot easier because there is one of us. And then you're often looking to fill and time and engage. But the nature of this show is really because there's two of us and we both like to talk in a good way, and we recap and we preview and we talk about news. The general flow here is that we don't get to the questions or the chat as much as maybe you might like, but we certainly encourage all of you in the chat to engage with each other, and we will highlight certain things that do come up. So Jimmy, fair comment. We love that you are here, but we need to be honest with, and I think most of the viewers, for better or for worse, know that about this style of show for sure. But I did want to acknowledge your comment for sure.
Yeah, we could do an hour 15, but then I would sleep less, and that would be unacceptable. We've just got it down to a science. That's the problem. We've been doing this for 2.5 years, and now we're so used to we've got our timing down. Where you could throw in another game for us to preview. Sure, we finished at what, exactly 11. We're automatic. All right, that's that's our problem.
But
folks,
catch us on a week where there's not a lot of games to recap or not a lot of games to preview. I.e.,
come see us in the summer, my friend. It is. There's a lot of time for the chat.
Absolutely. Yes.
Folks, thank you all very much for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you leave a like, hit subscribe so you're here next time. If you're more of an audio person, you can find it on your favorite podcast platform. That always helps us out as well. You can rewind back to the beginning, catch up later, do all that good stuff. You can find me at ParkersPucks on Twitter and YouTube. You can find Clay at Canuck Clay on Twitter and YouTube. Clay, any parting words this fine Monday evening?
Looking forward to a good full week of 4 Canucks games. I get to see you, Parker, at the arena. Hopefully a quick hello, and then we're on air together on Saturday on Game Over Vancouver. So a lot of Canucks content, and a great chance for the Canucks to solidify their hold in the top 3 spot in the Pacific.
Excellent. Well, folks, thank you all very much. Have a wonderful night. If you want to hang out with Clay a little bit more at 11:15, he's got a stream going on his channel as well. I will be going to sleep after I upload this podcast. Otherwise, have a good night, and we'll see you next time.